So I was in America for 1.5 days to do my fingerprint. And then I got here on Tuesday, because if you fly there on Monday, you get here Tuesday. And then on that Tuesday, I had a game. And right as I got out of the airport, I went straight to the game.
Our interview today is with Joon Kang, a winger/attacker for Greuther Fürth in the second team of the squad. Really enjoyed the episode. Went a bit long. Cool episode though. Watch it. Let's go. Joon, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Hey, it's an honor to be here.
Absolutely, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you play, what position you prefer, and maybe a player you base your game off of.
So I play right now in Greuther Fürth second team, and I play as a left winger, but I can also play as a 10 and as a right winger, but I prefer the left side because I like to cut in and shoot. And I'm also good with my left foot, so I feel pretty comfortable on the left, but I would say all attacking positions except for like a big, strong striker. I feel like I could play everything on the offensive side.
All right. So before we get going officially, into the nitty gritty of all the football talk, so I'm going to hit you with a little bit of a Greuther Fürth. How would you go for that pronunciation? Greuther Fürth, something like that.
Yeah, in German it's Greuther Fürth, but when I was in America, I would also say Greuther Fürth. It's tough.
See, I did my research, but then I kind of just forgot everything right now.
Yeah, it's all good. Like the pronunciation I still can't pronounce a lot of words right now, so it's all good.
Without stalling too much, let's go for the first question. So here we go again. Sportpark Ronhof Thomas Sommer is the home stadium of Fürth. But do you know what it was named between 2010 and 2014?
Oof, I have no idea. I did not do my research for my team.
You didn't do your research? Well, I'll give you a little hint. It has to do with candy.
Candy?
Yeah.
Were they like sponsored by candy?
Yeah. Something along the lines. It was called the Trolley Arena, as in those, the sour gummies.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's a fun fact.
Our last question here. So the city Fürth itself is, it's quite a decent region in Germany. But there is one particular toy manufacturer that was founded in the region. Do you know of that company?
There's a toy museum out here nearby. It's called Playmobil.
Hey, yeah, that's it. You got it.
Is that the one?
So
yeah, okay.
If you do remember, or if anyone remembers Playmobil, yep, that is the plastic figurine toy kind of like company.
Interesting. I'm learning more from you from when I'm living here.
I love to see. Well, now let's learn a bit about yourself, Joon, and let's get into the football itself. So just a few months ago, in around June, I think I would say, you announced your move to Fürth after 2 years with Dynamo Dresden. What went into this decision to move clubs and get to this side that is now a Bundesliga team?
I was up with the first team for Dresden for about almost half a year, I would say, maybe a little less than half a year, and they got promoted to the second Bundesliga. And there was a lot of talks about my contract. Is it going to be extended? Am I going to get the pro contract? Am I going to go out on loan? Am I not going to get it? And I think it all really depended on like if they were going to get promoted or not. I think if they wanted to get promoted, I think they wanted to get a lot of experienced players for the second Bundesliga. Like they wanted to get some players from the Bundesliga. At such a level, the trainers want to focus more on the older experienced players, which makes sense because they need to get the results. It's not youth football anymore. So I decided that I think a good move would be for me to go to a second team of a professional side. And I got, I was in talks with Greuther Fürth. They just got promoted to the Bundesliga. So I think I just thought that it was like a good step for me where I would get minutes, develop, and still have the perspective to move up to the Bundesliga, to a pro level, to, the first league. So I think that's what made me go there.
That vision did come through, and now you've slotted into the second team at Fürth. So you which competes in the Regionalliga Bayern, which is the state league in the 4th division of German football. So kind of like you could almost compare it in a way to like sort of like League 2 for England, but it's a little bit different as it is a state league compared to like one all-encompassing.
Yeah.
So how would you describe your season so far? A couple months. I think I saw on Transfermarkt that you've had a little bit of an injury problem, so you're hopefully getting back after that.
Well, so their preseason started very early. They started in like our season officially ended in Dresden in like June, early June, and the preseason started in June 7th.
Wow.
So, and then I started training with them in like June 14th, and then I officially like joined them on June 21st. So I was a little late on preseason. I joined them a little late, and then our season started in mid-July, which was also very very early.
Mhm.
And I think it just took me some time to adapt. And I was training very good. I was very happy with my performance. I have been training good, and I was getting some minutes. I was getting put in, and at like a difficult time where I felt like I was going up, I got injured. And a fact that many people don't know is that I had to do a fingerprint for my green card
Mm.
during the middle of the season. So that was in like the middle of August ish. So we had a game on Friday, and after the game on Friday, I took a flight on Saturday to Cali.
Oh
I got
wow.
there on Saturday, like 3, 4 ish. I spent the Sunday, and then I flew back on Monday back to Germany. So I was in America for 1.5 days to do my fingerprint. So yeah, and then I got here on Tuesday because if you fly there on Monday, you get here Tuesday. And then on that Tuesday, I had a game, and right as I got out of the airport, I went straight to the game. And then, of course, I told the trainer like I don't feel good. Like I feel I was dead. I felt like I was dreaming because I was in the States
Yeah.
for half a day, 1.5 days, and I was back here. So he didn't put me in that game. And after that game, I think maybe the flight got me a little too tired, or maybe I just didn't feel too good on my abductor side, like my groins ish, when I was shooting or doing some long balls. So yeah, that's when it started, and then I've been doing rehab in that part for past month and a half.
So unfortunately, this season, the second team of Firth have suffered a sort of similar but slightly better fate than the first team so far. So they've got 11 points from 15 matches. I believe they are third from bottom of the table. So that is a little bit better than the 1 point from 7 matches from the first team. Tough time there in the Bundesliga. But what would you say? What do you feel like the overall attitude in the club right now is? A little bit of some negative results coming this way, but is there still a bit of positivity, or is it more stormy atmosphere?
If you look at our squad, we have the youngest squad in the league,
Mm-hmm.
and
For
of
the
course
second team, or for the first team?
for the whole for the second team, we have the
Okay,
youngest
gotcha.
youngest squad in
Yeah.
the league.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bunch of 2003s on the team, and I think if people look at the result, of course they see the result, and the results what matter. But I think if because I've been there for all the games and watched it, like we're dominating games, and
Mm-hmm.
we've been playing really good games. You just haven't been able to win games. I think there's a phase where a team plays good but just doesn't get the results, and I think overall the second team is also about results, but it's still a developing phase. So that the players make that jump to the first team. It's like a bridge between
Yeah.
the first team. Of course, the results aren't exactly what we were going for, but the process and the inside the game and how we're playing is exactly what we wanted. We want to play possession football, and I think we haven't had a single game where another team had more possession than us. I think even against Bayern, if I watched the first half, second half, and in the first half, I mean, we were dominating possession, we were dominating the game, and I think many teams come to a surprise because the results don't show that, but when they play against us, I think it shows a lot of like details, and we're just not finishing our chances. I think but I think overall that will come after time, and there's just like this unlucky phase for a team, and I don't think we're really worried about the relegation or anything because the quality of the team is really good. We have a lot of good players, so I think over time the results will come. So
Of course, of course. And how has the management of the team and the coaching staff, the upper management and the manager themselves, how they approach the situation? Are they continuing to lament the fact that look, we're a young squad and we have a bunch of guys who are going to learn this season? Is the manager, is he a younger guy or an older chap? What's that side of the footballing team?
he's young. He's in the early 30s, I think, and he's about development. So even when we don't get the result, of course, he could be a little upset and stuff, but I think
Mhm.
he overall looks at the big picture and sees that us as a group and individuals were developing the right way. And I think it's also important that we continually, want to push through with our football. Just because we're losing games, we don't want to start, going hitting long balls all the whole game and stuff. I think
Sure.
I think it's about development. So we push through with our own plan. I think we've been seeing progress. Maybe the first game it wasn't working as well, but now against good teams, we've been pushing through, and I think soon we will be getting results. So I think it's been a good development phase, and I think we're learning a lot because the
Mm.
manager's also young, the players are also young. I think it's also a time where we need to learn, and I think since we have how to play the game well down, I think the next step would be how to play the game well and get the results. So I think that's the step we're missing, and I think we're going towards that step. So I think everything's going the right way.
We briefly kind of passed over the Dresden season, so I want to go a little bit more in depth on that. And you mentioned how you were training with the first team at some point, so let's hear a little bit about that story.
Yeah. So when I got called up, Corona came, and
Mm-hmm.
the under 19s were done, and then I got a call being like, "There's some good news. You should come to the training center." And I was like
Mm.
a little nervous, being like, "What could it be?" And then they said, like, normally when an under 19 player goes up, they're only there for like a friendly game or maybe two training sessions because the players are out in the national team, so they have a small squad. So they called them up, but they were like, "It's not like that. Like, we're gonna put you in the first team for a long period of time. Like, for
Mm.
it could be a month, 2 months. Like, we don't know. Like, it could be very long. So I was like, it's a good opportunity for you. Like, it's like you're for now. I was basically part of the first team squad. So I was like, okay. Like, I was like, this is it's also another step in my career. Being like, okay, like with 18, I'd play with a professional team and to get some experience. And I was up, and it was the intensity was also a whole nother level. It was physically much stronger, and I also learned a lot from the players. So I think it was a good experience.
Taking it back to sunny California just a few years prior, you were absolutely spitting kids left and right. Don't check out Joon's huddle page if you have a weak stomach because there's straight murder in some of the clips. So
uh,
at this time, you were playing for Ballistic United Soccer Club, which is actually like decently underrated academy north of San Jose. This is the club that produced Cade Cowell, which is probably their top top academy product from the club. So yeah, why should people pay attention to Ballistic and who they're producing and names coming out of the club in the coming years? Some spicy talent coming up, yeah.
it's if you look at it, it's a small city, small. It's not a professional club. They don't have like a first team,
Yep.
and it was like one of the best things in my area, I would say. And I went there, and in that moment, I didn't realize that I was surrounded by good players. But as I grew up and like saw where these players are going, I was like, wow, we had such a. I think it was that specific year where we just had a crazy amount of good players. I think we had Gilbert
Mm-hmm.
Fuentes, Cade, Jacob Anchorage, Max Gogel, who played for VfB Stuttgart here. We had
Mm-hmm.
Stuart Ritchie, who played for
Very Richie, yeah.
Hanover. Trevian Sosa, who is at Hamburg now, is in Kansas City, and then there was me, and then that's around like seven players who was who either got MLS contract or went to a Bundesliga team, and it's to have seven players from one team, even from an MLS academy team. I think it's difficult to have that many
Mm-hmm. from
successful
from one
players.
age group, right? It's not even like
Yeah,
the whole
from
club.
one
It's like
age group,
this one
like
team,
one age group,
literally.
just this from one year. I
Yeah,
think if you look at it of like history of MLS academy or like any academy, I think it's like maybe like it's really rare. I would say seven players,
yeah.
7, 8. I mean, I probably there were some other good players, but that comes to my head. When you're young, as long as you're surrounded by good players, I think the name value of the team doesn't matter so much. When you're 13 and you could play for FC Dallas, and FC Dallas has a great academy, but also look at Ballistic United, like they're not like a huge name in the US.
Mhm.
So I think what matters the most is the development and how you play, what kind of football you're taught, and then based off of that, I think if you look at the results, like 7, 8 players that have been making great progress, I think that's what matters the most. So I think the players who look only at the names at a young age, maybe when you get older, it matters a little more, but at such a young
Mhm.
age, I think they should focus more on development. I think and Ballistic is a great team to develop.
Moving onwards. So I want to, since we're on the topic of the U.S., we're in America. I want to talk a little bit about your cultural background as a Korean American. So, if my research is correct, you were born in Seoul, which is Seoul, the Korean city. Then you moved to California shortly after. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I moved to California when I was seven, eight.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, again. So you played for South Korea's under 17s, or at least were called up into a camp at one point, and then maybe met up more informally, or maybe it was formally in 2019 with some of the Korean players. What was that like?
I got called up to the under 17s in when I was in Mainz. Well, back then it
Mhm.
was under 16s, but it was for the under 17 tournament. So, people call it the under 17s. But yeah, before I went to, it was a camp, but I also there was some also like not like as big camps that I was also invited to that which they wanted to like check how good I was and to see if I could get called up and are they good in those so I could call up to the national team. It was a good experience. And then in 2019, with I met up with a lot of the A national team players. Key who played in Swansea in the Premier League. Huang who beat Van Dijk against Liverpool and now plays for Wolves.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, a lot of them because
No,
we
was Sunny there?
Sonny was not there.
Okay.
But he well, we all train in like a we either have like a same management or we train in like a same physical training center where
Yeah.
there's a very good physical trainer in Korea where all the elite players go to, and we all go
Uh,
there, and we got to meet from there, and then we just decided that we'll have a little 4v4, 5 against 5 because it was off season,
nice.
just stay fit, a little fun, and then I got invited. And for me, it was also something new because back then I just finished the under 17 season. For me to play with A national team players that I've also grown watching up and I've only heard of and watched on TV, they're suddenly talking to me, we're playing together, and it was a really good experience. So and now like when I see them, we have some of them I have contact with, and we all know each other. So when I go to Korea, for example, for a summer, we go to the physical training center. It's like more we're closer, so it's nice.
Yeah, so have you like gotten to like personally know whether it be Wang or whether it be like Key from the Swans, like you have these contacts or maybe some the different guys.
Yeah. So Key, I've met when I well, there's a story where I met Key when I was 6 in Korea. I
Okay.
wanted to meet Park,
Uh,
that plays for
yeah,
Manchester
yeah.
United, but he
Yep.
was busy. So my dad somehow knew some guy who knew Key, and back then he wasn't a big star. He was playing in Seoul, and he was like, the manager was like, yeah, like he's gonna be a big star one day. Believe me. And that was okay. And I met him when I was 6. And then he told me like, hey, like one day I hope we can play on the same team together.
Mm,
And then I went to Swansea while he was at Swansea. And then I went to watch his game. And even when I was under 15s, like, it's also a very low amount of chance that we end up in the same place again. And he didn't know I was there. And after the game, I waited for him after the game. And then we met him and I was like, do you remember me? And he was like, oh, like we met at that like one restaurant in Korea, no? And we were like, yeah, yeah.
wow.
Like now I'm on a trial at Swansea. Like, wow. And he was with his manager. And then now his manager is my manager now too. That's
Ah,
how the management got interconnected. And then
crazy.
he's the one who sent me to Mainz and stuff. So Key,
Oh
I've
wow.
had, yeah, now like when I go to Korea with my manager, since we're the same, management, we go out, eat together maybe once or twice. And with him, I have a good, contact. With Huang, we train at the same training center. So, we train together sometimes. I see him around when he's training and stuff. So, yeah, like it's like I said, small world, everything's connected. So, yeah, it's crazy.
So it's time for some teammate truths, which is a segment where I'll name a player and then you'll say what immediately comes to mind for them. First player up, Adam Armour. Cool name, brilliant name by the way, especially for a center back.
When I think of Adam Armour, I think of the city Nuremberg
Mm.
because he played there. I live in Nuremberg right now. I don't live in Fürth, so I've talked to him a couple times. I've met him only once personally. It was a friendly during dressing as Nuremberg, and then I talked to him because I think Americans kind of know each other.
Yeah.
Who's here, and
Mm-hmm.
then he moved back to the U.S. But if he stayed here, then we would be living in the same city. I'm sure he would
Mm-hmm.
kicked it down a couple times in the city and stuff. So
Mm.
that's Nuremberg.
All right, let's go to Dylan Keane.
Goal scorer. I remember Dylan when he was under 14s when he played for Deanza Forest,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he was even back then a dangerous player. He was fast, and I remember him scoring a couple bangers. So that's why I
Mm.
remember him.
How about Stu Ritchie?
Stuart Rich. It's like kind of random, but I'll say Adidas F50s
Okay.
because I remember the first time I met Stewie, it was like under 11, 12s, and like I was always training in like 1 or 2 years above age in ballistic. I was always, with the older guys. And I remember, Stewie back then was really small. So I remember seeing like a little guy with F50s. It was like silver coming in. And then I remember asking my friend, being like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "Oh, Stewie." And I was like, "Oh, like I like his shoe. I like his cleats." So I think that's like one thing I clearly remember of him. It's like my first time meeting him. He was wearing some nice silver cleats. I think
Jack Imperato.
quick feet. I've played against him a couple of times. I've watched him play a couple of times, but I think one of the like he takes such little steps that are so quick. I think that's what clearly stands out. That's like the first thing that comes to mind when I think of him.
How about Cade Cowell?
Beast. Even when I met him when he was, young, 13, 14, I remember, like, yeah, I think it's just his genes are built different. Like, I'm sure he works very hard, but, it also has to come with the genes. But even back then at 13, 14, I don't think he, went to the gym and lifted or did anything crazy, but he was just, so muscular and so fast for his age. He was a hard worker, and we would always race back then, and I would always win, but I don't know anymore. But yeah, he's a beast.
Jacob, and I'm gonna let you pronounce the last name.
Anchorage.
Anchorage.
Um,
Okay.
with him, I'd say McDonald's because, or McDonald's because I remember after like a state cup game when we were like under 11 or 12, like my dad and I and his mom and Jacob and his mom, we went to McDonald's after a game, and for some reason that just stuck in my head for some reason. Or I would say pink Mercurials because I remember I had these pink Mercurials, and then I gave him my cleats. And then we played together on the first game. I think it was a center back, and he drove past like 7 players and scored like a banger from like 30 meters out with those cleats. So I think it's also another one.
Final question, Joon. All right, so let's think about this. So in October 2022, this will be a year in advance. You'll be with Firth or whatever happens, right? But what's a goal that you hope to accomplish by that time? So a year from today.
I think by October 2022, my goal would be to officially get into league game with Fürth or whoever it'll be.
Yep.
In Germany, and it could be anywhere. It could be the US, it could be Germany, it could be anywhere.
Yep.
I think for me to make that one breakthrough, and then from that breakthrough, I think building upon is another step. So I think by the next year, that is my goal, and I'll be working towards. So.
Joon, I want to thank you so much for your time today. We went a little long, but
much.
really been enjoying this interview, and I think it'll be some great content to go up. So yeah, again, thanks for coming on, and appreciate it.
Thank you, man.